Welcome to Pro Talk. This is the Mighty Oba, my main man George Radney here in studio, and we have a very special guest with us here today. Stevie Johnson is he's on the phone line, but his physical presence and spiritual presence is here with us here on Pro Talk today. Stevie, how you doing?
Hey, man, I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, my pleasure, brother. And George, you doing good?
Yes, indeed.
Well, let's get it. It's time to talk about it. Stevie Johnson was drafted by the Buffalo Bills in the 7th round, 2008. Do you know you were the 224th pick of that draft, man?
Yeah, I still remember it vividly. 224 picks. I had the blessing to come to Buffalo and join that city.
What were your thoughts when you were finally drafted?
Well, it felt like I was the first pick, even though we had to wait some time.
Mm-hmm.
But, when it happened, I was excited as if I was number one.
Well, I tell you, the Buffalo Bills were very, very lucky to have drafted a player of your caliber because you ended up becoming one of the best receivers in Buffalo Bills history. 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons, and people need to realize, man, George, he averaged almost 13 yards a catch.
Yes, I was surprised at that. Looking at those numbers, I was like, wow. And you were blessed to be healthy. You played all 16 games, 3 consecutive years is very hard to do, especially in today's NFL.
Very, very tough, but, it took sacrifice and, waking up early in the morning and handling my business with the cold tubs, just in case we got athletes listening. It takes a lot to do that. And, unfortunately in this game, the injuries will come. But the more you maintain your body, the longer you can play in this league, like myself.
Well, this is a big-time week for the Buffalo Bills against the New England Patriots. Stevie, tell me, what are some of your thoughts on some of those weeks? What are your memories in preparing for the New England Patriots?
Well, honestly, nothing was too different. I would say the competitor and myself, I prepare for every team as if they were the number one team, when it comes to the defensive backs, looking at the linebackers, seeing how their movement is. I don't take anything away from my opponent. So, I go into every week, game ready and, hopefully prepared enough to, do my part as best as I could.
How did you stay focused and going back to that first year, that 2010 season, how being a 7th round draft pick, obviously they're saying, well, he's got a 50-50 chance of making the team. When did you realize that you were making a headway and had a good idea that you keep going the way you're going, that you were going to be a part of that offense for that particular season?
Oh, that's funny. That's a good one. Because I was playing on the scout team. On the scout team, you going up against the one defense, and I was doing my thing. I had some of the guys on the one saying like, "Yo, who is this kid? Who is this 13?" And they started talking about my moves off the line, and I was like, "Man, if I'm doing this on, our ones, maybe I do have action at becoming, a player in this league." But I knew it was about patience and my opportunity, so I still had to wait 2 years after that in order to, get my shot.
Stevie, you were drafted as a long shot. If you remember, James Hardy was the so-called receiver of the future for the Bills, and he was drafted in the 2nd round. Unfortunately, James passed away just a couple of years ago. What were your thoughts when you found out that James had passed away?
Man, I was so sad. R.I.P. to James, man. We came in together, and I had plans on me and him being the receivers of the future. I didn't even see it as him being picked 2nd round, me being picked 7th. I felt like we needed receivers, and I thought we were going to be those guys, but unfortunately, things went left for him, and so I don't know. I was just sad, man. I wish I could have done more. I wish he could have done more, because we don't know what be on people's minds. But if I could say anything about that situation, it's just don't be afraid to speak to your friends or talk to your friends or ask for help. And things may have gone other ways in that case.
What has been your thoughts with Antonio Brown? I know being a receiver in the league, you met with some adversity during your career. What are your thoughts on Antonio Brown?
Well, I mean, it goes. It's like two sides of it. Some of the things, like myself. First, before I put him out, I put myself out there. Like some of the things I've done, I put on myself. And a few of the other things I've done, it was just natural. Like like as simple as celebrating. How do you get fined for celebrating? We work hard for this, and we're not harming anybody. But I was doing things in Antonio Brown's situation. Some of the things he brought upon himself. But then in other situations, as far as him jumping teams and doing those things, I think it's good for the players. In the mindset of the locker room, it's giving the players some leverage, and not everyone, but players of that caliber or in their situation that's best suited for them. It gives them some power like the owners have. So I'm cool with it.
And Stevie, what you mentioned that your moves in practice. What was that move? Because you still seem like it still confused a lot of defensive backs when you were on the line of scrimmage. It was almost like sometimes you wouldn't even move off the ball when the ball was snapped, and then you would do something like almost like a crossover type basketball type move on them.
Yeah, we just call it the ooh-wee. Give him that ooh-wee.
The ooh-wee, huh?
That ooh-wee.
I like that.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Hey, we actually got some players on our team that got that ooh-wee special in them. So I'm looking forward to seeing them create, for this upcoming game, because we're going to need it. We're going to need it from first quarter all the way to fourth, and maybe we got to go even further.
Right. And that's what you did throughout your career. You were never known as being the fastest receiver, but most people said, man, you just can't stay with him. He acts like he's playing basketball on the football field.
Yeah, I felt like that was my advantage, and you hit it right on the head with that. I was never the fastest, but when it comes down to what you lack in, you must excel in other places. So, getting with guys like in college, Keenan Burton, Biggie Lyons, and studying film and understanding body movement, body language of opposing players. So that gave me a head start on most of my moves. When I see them leaning or a little off balance, I can get a quick first step on them.
All right, hey, let's talk about some of the games that transpired this past weekend. Any games stand out for you, Stevie?
You mean college or
pros? NFL.
Okay, yeah, because I'm always thinking about Kentucky. I always watching my team in college. So, well, in NFL, only ones I look at is the Chargers, the 49ers, and the Bills for the most part. And the thing that stuck out to me was our Buffalo Bills winning, and and going 3-0 and entering this week to play against the Patriots undefeated.
Stevie, how would it be for you coming in today, playing in this era where now it looks the wide receivers can go across the middle without getting their heads knocked off, as in during your era? Now that middle is now becoming open to the receivers once again. Would you feel you would be able to be even more successful in this era?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like I can, as an athlete or as a competitor, I can be successful in any era. So, I wouldn't even put my mind into that thought to say, oh yeah, I wish I was just playing now. I just feel like that with any era, even if it was back in the day, So, I'm just happy that I'm still, able to get interviews with you guys and be around the community and make an impact in that type of way. So, I'm excited about that more so than playing football again.
Well, who's the one quarterback out of these young quarterbacks of today that Stevie Johnson would like to take passes from?
Josh. I catch passes from Josh. Being as dear as I am to Buffalo, and knowing that they have a solidified quarterback now, moving on from my quarterback fit. So that'd be cool. But a quarterback that I admire in the league is Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. He's one of the quarterbacks that I've been checking since high school, and then seeing his progressions from out in Kentucky with the Cardinals, and then him being picked 30th or wherever he got picked is like, wow, this kid is like, you can't see how skilled and talented this kid is, and seeing him flourish right now is just like seeing Josh Allen flourish when everybody was talking negative on him. So those two I'm really excited about watching the rest of their career.
He's like yourself, right? You had a little chip on your shoulder coming in the league, and Lamar Jackson, he seemed to take offense and accepted the challenge that, hey, a lot of guys were picked before me, but I'm going to show you. He's the first one that got his team to the playoffs last year out of that class.
Right, and the thing is, it's not just the chip on the shoulder, the cliche, oh, this many teams picked before me, et cetera. It's the fact that, like, did you see what he was doing in college, and winning a Heisman, and then you still picking quarterbacks ahead of me because you're labeling it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like in that situation, if he was to say he want to change teams or whatnot, then it'll be a bunch of other news spoken about him instead of just his skills. You know what I mean? It don't matter what team he's playing for, because these teams go trade players when they want to or when they don't, and we got to just deal with it. You feel me? So if a player of his caliber and how well he's doing was to say, all right, I don't want to play for Baltimore, I want to play in Washington now or something, people should just go ahead and accept what it is. It's a player speaking now.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's an evolution now in the game, and we've seen it in basketball. We've seen it everywhere, and it's good for the players. I'm just thinking from the players' mindset.
Beautiful. Stevie, I noticed you also train young receivers. Is that on the high school or college level or pro?
Yeah, all levels. I've trained on all levels. So from the youth level, I've had players from high school and college, and I've had professional players and overseas. I play. I feel like I don't know everything, but I played a few years in the league and been through some things to where I know I got a bunch of wisdom on this route running and how to expand people's game. So I'm just always there to help whenever people hit me up on social media, and we just tap in and we handle our business.
Yeah,
and,
Steve.
Get out.
Is there any one or two guys that you could think of players that we don't know about yet that you think that you feel that they're going to do well on the college or pro level in the future?
Yeah, I'll give you one in college, and he's dear to Buffalo, and it's Casey Kelly. He's at Ole Miss right now, and tight end, freshman, first year, and now I'm not giving you nobody else gonna be blowing up right this second, but you'll hear about Casey, and it'll be good for our city because it's another one of the Buffalonians that's handling business, and he's at Ole Miss right now, tight end.
A tight end. All right, we're definitely gonna keep an eye on him.
Let me ask you this, Stevie. What were your thoughts on your old team, now the Los Angeles Chargers? They're having their struggles. Word is that Melvin Gordon is on his way back into camp. I don't like how that goes for running backs. I think you're worth your value, and you should be paid. But, I understand the nature of the business. But what's going on with the Los Angeles Chargers?
Right, I say let's just keep getting the ball 13. Keep throwing it to Keenan Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep. They gotta apply pressure. Melvin's a big piece. They still got a running back in Eckler who's doing his part to the fullest. They just ran into a couple situations where they couldn't get out of, and good thing that is early in the season because we've seen how things can change up for that team as seasons go on. So they just got to get their run in, and they'll be fine.
All right. Hey, we're going to do some picks for next week. Want to see how good Stevie Johnson can predict. We're going to let you know how well you did, all right?
All right, nice. That sounds fun.
All right, we got Thursday night's game, Eagles against the Packers. Who you taking, Stevie?
I'm going to take the Pack.
You taking the Pack? George?
Yeah.
Oh, I like the Eagles in this one, bouncing back.
You think they're going to bounce back?
Well, some of they see that's the thing with Thursday night. The Eagles had to hold some of their guys out Sunday because they knew they either could play Sunday or Thursday, and some of those guys who didn't play Sunday are already been stated that they're going to be on the field Thursday night.
Stevie, what did you think about Thursday night games? I just think they're inhumane.
Yeah, it's tricky because I keep going back to the player mindset. We want to be on Showtime. We want to be the only game out there, But it's just a toll. It takes a toll on your body to keep it 100. It's tough, but the fuel that we have in us to play and the love that we have of the game. It's tough to stop them Thursday night games. And then when it comes from the fans' perspective, also, which I am now. We love to watch the games also. It's something else to do. It's another party for Thursday. So it's a sick situation. Just hopefully we got coaches that understand it and give their players rest, like the NBA has done. So that can be a way to counter that.
Would you prefer a 16-game schedule or an 18-game schedule with 2 less preseason games?
16 and just do.
Most players only want 16.
It's crazy. I don't know, man. That's tough, man. It's just about if the coaches are cool enough to letting the players take care of their body. You can keep it at 4 games if you like, but it's just about player management. And when we were playing, not when I was playing, but a little bit before my time, they wasn't talking too much about concussions, and then as I was getting in, concussions was beginning to be talked about or spoke on, and now it's heavy, So in that type of situation with players being able to rest, you never would hear about players getting a rest or coaches allowing their players to rest, but NBA does it, and that's the nature of the business. It's a tough game, and we need coaches that's understanding, and from what I've heard, Coach McDermott is one of those player coaches that have a really great balance with the team and with the business too.
That's a good thing. Yes. All right, how about the Titans and the Falcons? Who you taking, Stevie?
I'm gonna run with the underdog Titans squad because a lot of people like the Falcons, the look of them. They are a good team. I like them also, but I roll with the underdog, so I'm going with Tennessee.
George?
I'll go with Falcons.
What'd you say, Stevie?
My boy Wesley Woodyard from Kentucky's out there, so shout out to him.
All right, Washington against the Giants.
Washington, I got Washington. I'm going Washington. Case Keenum's got to bounce back. It was an ugly one, and Daniel Jones he's got the key now, right?
He's got
right,
the keys
for now.
Keys to the car right now, buddy.
I'm still going Washington because Barkley's out, right?
Barkley's out 4 to 8 weeks.
I changed my pick. I'm going Giants.
Going Giants, George?
Yes.
You going Giants?
Yes.
Okay, everybody's Giants. All right, Chargers at the Dolphins.
Chargers.
Yeah,
I'm going Chargers.
Must win for the Chargers, definitely.
Must win. Are the Dolphins going to win a game?
They'll win the game.
They're going to win one game.
One game.
At least one. Hopefully not against the Bills. All right, Raiders Raiders at the Colts.
I take my one back there in that case because we got to see them twice.
That's right.
That's right.
How about Raiders and the Colts, Stevie?
Raiders and Colts. I'm going with the Raiders. I'm going with Tyrell Williams. That's my boy out there. So I'm going with the Raiders home team.
All right, George?
Colts.
Colts, too. All right, Panthers at the Texans. Deshaun Watson is blowing it up. How would you like to take passes from him, Stevie?
Yeah, I like Watson. I like his style. He's doing his thing. I'm going with the Texans.
George?
Texans.
Texans. Oh, All right, we got an undefeated matchup. Who would have figured the Kansas City Chiefs were going up against the undefeated Detroit Lions?
Yeah, yeah, with a tie mixed in there for the undefeated Lions there.
Who you taking, Stevie?
I'm going with the Lions. Once again, I'm going with the underdogs. The Kansas City Chiefs were the underdogs maybe last year or a couple years ago. I'm going with the Lions as the underdog pick.
George?
For some reason, I like the Lions this week too. Their defense is gelling, and now if Stafford doesn't turn the ball over, they can have a good chance to win it.
All right, I am taking the Chiefs. Browns at the Ravens.
Going Jackson. I just had 3 minutes talking about this. I can't go against him now.
Can't go against Lamar Jackson. George?
Ravens for sure, and the countdown has begun for Freddie Kitchens. How much longer will he last as the head coach of the Cleveland Browns? It doesn't look good, Freddie. Even though he's from my hometown of Gaston, Alabama, it doesn't look good for the homeboy.
Doesn't look good. All right, the other game I wanted to get in before we talk about the Bills is Cowboys and the Saints. That's a big-time game. Who are you picking, Stevie?
I'm going to go with the Cowboys. I got Ezekiel Elliott on my fantasy.
No, you're not supposed to let fantasy get involved. Remember, fantasy is an individual game.
This is my first year, so I'm allowed to make those type of mistakes right now.
All right, George, who you picking?
I was at this game 5 years ago in 2014 in Sunday night in Dallas, and Dallas stumped the Saints so bad they didn't have enough room for the injured Saints that night. I think the Saints remember it. I think New Orleans will eke this one out.
All right, one other game before we go to our game here in Western New York. Vikings at the Bears, Stevie. This is going to be a big-time contest. Who you picking?
You know what? I'm liking what that Bears defense looks like.
Khalil Mack.
Khalil Mack, Buffalo product, and Danny Trevathan, Kentucky product. With AR-12 now. Allen Robinson, I think I'm going with the Bears.
All right, George?
I like the Bears in this one as well.
I take the Bears too. All right, Patriots at the Bills, Stevie Johnson. This is a game that you've had to play many times over in your career. Who are you picking?
I'm going to pick the Buffalo Bills, and I'm looking, my keys to victory is going to be endurance. Endurance this game all the way through and being able to bounce back when the Patriots strike.
If you say so, Stevie. Yes, indeed.
George, who you picking?
Oh, Patriots. The Bills. Josh Allen will turn the ball over, and the thing about the Patriots, they don't beat themselves, and that's how you almost got to play almost a perfect game against them. I see the Patriots winning it 31-24.
Stevie, I'm sorry. I'm from Western New York, but as a journalist, I have to pick the Patriots.
I don't want to hear it.
Sorry, man. I know. I understand the loyalty of playing for the Bills, but you tell me. You go up against, you've gone up against Bill Belichick defenses. How confusing are they sometimes? Do you have to be aware of your hot reads when he's running these confusing blitz packages? I mean, just how good of a defensive mind is this guy?
You know what? Honestly, I think our quarterback is at a point where he's not frantic inside the pocket anymore. So, with that being said, and with the savviness of Brown and Beasley, the defenses are all tough in the NFL. You just got to be patient. When you're patient, the holes will open up, and you just got to make it happen from there. So, if you got a quarterback that's frantic in the pocket or learning in the learning phase, then it's gonna be tough to go up against a team like that. That's sound and on everything that they do.
But you know what, Stevie? I realize he went up against Carlos Dunlap and Geno Atkins, but the Bills did not give Josh Allen a very clean pocket this week. How does that affect the quarterback, but also how does it affect you as the route runner?
Yeah, this week was tough, yeah, and I was speaking real highly on the offensive line. I still do. It was a tough one this week. We'll see how they bounce back. It's just gonna be on Josh to show them that he's loyal to them and to their protection by not trying to turn into Air Island just too soon.
Real quick, George.
Well, hey, it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be good. I just think that as you get toward the end of the game, I think that's when the Patriots will just pull away from the Bills at the end of this one.
I'm with George on this, Stevie. I'm sorry. But hopefully we see you Sunday. We're down to our last 20 seconds. It is a great honor and pleasure to have you on our new show, Pro Talk. I hope you enjoyed it. And most of all, I hope you feel free to come back when we invite you again.
Absolutely. Thanks for the time, man. Remember, everybody, handle biz and have fun.
All right. We'll see you Sunday,
care.
buddy. That's all for us here on Pro Talk. I'm the Mighty Oba.